Hello. Now, I know, I'm a little bit late to the party talking about the whole Liver King Joe Rogan situation, but I do want to talk about it just because it's such a wacky and goofy situation. So, just for those who don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, but for the ones who don't, Liver King is this guy on social media who eats raw meat and lifts a lot of weights. And Joe Rogan is a bald guy who's also on social media who runs a podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience, and he's had some bombshells of guests. I mean, he's had anyone from Joey Diaz to Donald Trump. So the controversy going on between Joe Rogan and Liver King is pretty silly. So it pretty much just sparked because a couple years ago, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Liver King posted a YouTube video pretty much explaining how he's been on steroids, which I thought everyone already knew. I definitely expected him to be on steroids, but apparently people believed him, or he thought people believed that he was all natural. So he made this video just pretty much admitting to using steroids. And then 3 years ago, when this video came out, Joe Rogan spoke about it on his podcast. I would assume it was on his podcast. He pretty much just criticized the fact that Liver King lied about being natural and that he uses steroids. And then 3 years later, or 4 years later, whenever Joe Rogan said this, Liver King has just started to blame Joe Rogan for his downfall when it has nothing to do with Joe Rogan. Liver King, you had a downfall because your content is the most driest shit on the planet. You eat raw meat, and then you lift weights, and then you eat some more raw meat and raw eggs, and then you lift more weights. So anyway, pretty much what ended up happening is Liver King just for some reason thought about it recently, and he thought in his brain, this is now getting on my nerves again 3 years later. So what he ended up doing was calling Joe Rogan out to a fight, obviously to no avail because Joe Rogan didn't respond. So Liver King then started posting videos on Instagram threatening Joe Rogan. Then Liver King even went as far as to flying to Joe Rogan's hometown to confront him. I don't know what his plan was when he got there, but he flew to Joe Rogan's hometown and checked into a hotel, which eventually that's where he was arrested because the police were informed on the whole situation. So they arrested Liver King, they took him to jail, and then he got released a few days later. But after getting back to his hotel, Liver King recorded multiple videos, again, just talking about Joe Rogan. But he recorded one in particular that I want to show you all right now. I'll be cutting it up because it's like a 5-minute video. But he just says some really weird stuff in it, and you can tell he's either on drugs or his mental health is just decreasing.
Good morning, primals. From the vibration plate of the greatest state in the world, Austin, Texas. Texas is the state, just to be clear. Bags under my eyes, haven't slept a whole lot. And it's been an amazing gift. When you fracture the physical, don't sleep, don't eat much, drink much. You go deeper into something else. You gotta maybe express something else. Something else. Ask me what the password is to Wi-Fi.
So you can tell right away he's just not there at all. He goes from talking about being in the lovely Texas to then talking about how he's not had much sleep and he's not eating and he's not drinking. But then he talks about how much of a gift it is to not sleep and eat and drink. And then he starts making weird groaning noises and then asks us to ask him what the Wi-Fi password is. It's just all really weird. Not to mention the fact you can clearly tell that his right pupil is much bigger than his left pupil. I don't know if this is some sort of sign of not eating, sleeping and drinking much, or if he's on some sort of drugs, because it's not normal.
If anybody knows where Seth Rogen's, the other version of him that rhymes with blow, if anyone knows where its family's going to be today, if you could let my team know so that we can stay within 200 yards, not close to them, to stay away from them. Oh, please, actually, I redact that. Don't do anything to their family.
So for those of you who are confused about this, which I'm sure most of you probably are, I certainly was when I first saw this, he keeps saying Seth Rogen, but the version that rhymes with blow. So he obviously is trying to say Joe Rogan, which he can't say Joe Rogan. He's not allowed to. So what he's doing instead is saying Seth Rogen, but then saying but his first name rhymes with blow, and it's not actually Seth, just meaning Joe Rogan. But then even more worrying is that he then starts asking people watching this video if anyone knows where Joe Rogan's family is going to be to let Liver King and his team know. He quickly realizes that this was a really dumb thing to say, and he actually says the word redact. He says, let me redact that. No one look for his family.
If we go somewhere unbeknownst to us today, if anyone who's around us can alert us that there might be anyone with the last name Rogan around, then I'll happily go the other 200 yards. This thing will help me make certain. You know how good that feels on the ankle? That part where it bounces, jiggles like that? Making my ankle strong for that, what do you call that one? The heel hook one.
So as you can see, he's got an ankle monitor on, which is pretty much just so they can kind of track where he goes. And that's what he was saying there, how if he's in the location unknowingly around people who have the second name Rogan, if someone can let him know so he can walk the other 200 yards, it's just some really weird shit to be saying.
That's what's going down today. And then we're going to go to the Capitol at 7 p.m. every day. We'll be at the Capitol where they make laws. Rogan versus Liver King. Yeah. I don't know if you might know who I am. You might not. It doesn't really matter, the name, but it's Liver King. I'm picking a fight. Who's it with? Seth Rogan. What's it for? Family.
So just a little bit more jibber jabber at the end there, talking about that he's going to be at the Capitol at 7 p.m. Every day or something. And then he starts talking about some more Seth Rogan, Liver King versus Joe Rogan. Even if you don't know who I am, it doesn't matter. But the name is Liver King. It's for family. It's just some really weird, wacky shit. And on a certain level, I feel bad for Liver King because he's just decreasing. I do think it's some sort of mental health problem that he's got. I don't think he's on drugs. But it's just a really sad situation to be in, not only for him but for Joe Rogan too. Like, you've got this steroid using lunatic who flew to your home country, your hometown, sorry, because he wants to fight you, and then he was making terroristic threats against you and got arrested for it. It's just some weird bahooey. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I just wanted to talk about this once again. I know I'm late to it, but I hadn't spoke about it yet, and I wanted to because it's such a wacky situation to be in. Anyway, that's it. Bye.